if you're stuck wanting to start a business, then, you can first start thinking about what it is that you want to do, what it is you're good at, and that obviously depends on the person, but you can start by thinking to yourself, what is it that somebody always comes to ask me about, right? Does somebody always come to ask me about how to do their books? Does somebody always come to ask me about how to find the best florist in any state? I mean, you could do really crazy things.
All right. Hey, Masters, we are live on Path to Mastery podcast. Welcome to another episode. And today we are with Wendy Shore. What's up, Wendy?
Great to be here. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. We know each other through Clubhouse, and I know we've tried to do this a couple times now, and unfortunately we haven't been able to, but I'm glad we were able to make it work today. So appreciate you being here today.
It is a pleasure to be here. And yeah, you know what? Life gets in the way, the life of an entrepreneur, things change, and we still have our family, and just got to be flexible.
Yeah. And Saturdays are always not the easiest day. It's funny. I actually was considering stopping doing the shows on Saturday because it's always family day, like daughters and running around, and we had 2 karates this morning and dance. It's just so much going on, But anyway, regardless of that, I'm glad we're here. And the topic we're talking about today is getting unstuck. I think that a lot, and it seems like a lot of people. I work with salespeople, and I work with real estate agents, and unfortunately, a lot of people stuck right now.
It's a good topic. I like that.
Interesting times. Well, what I did is I looked at the bio you sent me, and I'm like, that's what we're going to talk about today. So cool. Let me. I'm not going to go through the whole bio because I butcher bios. That's my middle name is Bio Butcherer. I can't even say that right. But Wendy Shore.
Bio Butcher Hill. I did not know that.
Bio Butcherer. Yeah, I had James Altucher on the show, and you should have seen what I did to that poor guy's bio. But anyway, Wendy Shore is a restaurateur, CPA turned business strategist and advisor, called a big picture thinker. Wendy is a multi-potentialite. That was the word. Did I say it right?
That is the word.
Potentialite. You'll have to tell us what that means. Who delivers real results. Wendy has helped many entrepreneurs to launch and scale their business in order to achieve financial freedom, success. Too many people put their dreams on hold, man, which is sad, right? Or they start and simply give up because they don't know where to start, or they don't take the next step. So with that said, I mean, I'm sure everybody can relate to what I just read, because I see it all the time. Where I was talking about it with somebody on a call 20 minutes before I called you today, where most people start and they give up. So thank you for being here, and tell me, why is this such an important topic to be talking about right now? Tell the listeners why this is an important topic to be talking about right now.
Well, I think it couldn't be more timely, because one of the things, when you think about people who are at a quote unquote 9-to-5 job, whether you're at an entry level or whether you're a C-suite executive, your job is not safe. Like, a lot of people stay in their position because they think that their job is safe, and then the layoffs come. And so in an economy that we're having now, that we're starting to see with this sort of downturn in the economy, there are going to be a lot of people who need to get going and need to do things that are, on their own. They're going to need to start their own businesses. And so a lot of these people have already started to try and start their own business, and they have these great ideas and they have these skill sets, and then they stop because literally they just don't know the next step to take, because they're really good at what they do. But unless you've gone through it and you've actually started a business, sometimes you really just don't know where to start. And I think in today's more global economy, it's even more difficult. And you may say, oh, it's easier to start a business because I could just get online and start a business. But there's so many programs, there's so many different platforms, there's so many people telling you they're going to make you an overnight success. There's so much noise. So where do you really go? And then I think a lot of people just get lost in the noise and they go, you know what? I got a nice job offer here. I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
And they kind of give up on their dream of job ownership, of business ownership.
Yeah, it's funny. That's the first thing I thought when you were talking is most people it's fear, but also, it's like you said, not knowing the next step. But should people be, let me start here. Should people be starting a business now as there's a lot of negativity in the news. People are feeling it right now. That's the reality. Coming out of the holidays, inflation, everything else. Is it a time to be starting a business?
Absolutely. If you think about the fortunes that were made, most were made during downturns in economy, because in downturns in economy, there's always opportunity. And so how do you solve a problem for somebody? And there's more problems when there's more going on. There's a lot of things that you could do, whether it's a product or service, and I don't really remember specifically, but a while back I did a research on it, and more fortunes are actually made in downturns.
Mm.
You know, a lot of the internet companies came in downturns in the economy. So there's opportunity when there are problems, right? Because if you think about most businesses, what do? They solve a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can. I want to definitely go down this route some more. But tell us, what is that? I asked you earlier. Multi-potential. I can't even say.
Multi-potentialite.
Yeah, multi. Did you just make that up?
I did not think of it as like a polymath, right? So I have done so many things in my life and in my business. Um, I was a restaurateur. I owned 7 restaurants. I was a certified public accountant before I went into the restaurant business. I have a social media agency. I have a business consultancy. So I do a lot of things. And so that is really the definition of a multi-potentialite. We do a lot of things. Now, there's the expression, jack of all trades, master of none. And most people stop right there. But the actual expression is jack of all trades, master of none is oftentimes better than master of one.
Is it though? Is it really oftentimes better,
I do think it is. See, because here's the thing. If
or does
you're
it
a one
depend on the
trick
person?
pony, and listen, it doesn't mean that you can't concentrate on one thing. Like, you are a great podcaster, but you are also somebody who sells real estate, somebody who teaches people how to sell real estate, right? So you're not a one trick pony, right? If
Mm.
you were only doing one thing in real estate, that would be all you did. That's master of one. So, you learned real estate, and now you help people because you've gone through it, and you can sort of fast forward their path, right? So
Mm.
you're doing multiple things. Now, it may still be in the same industry, but you're doing multiple things. And then you started podcasting, and you do that really well. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, right?
Thank
Um,
you.
there. So should you not be a podcaster because you're in real estate? You know, and so right. So you're actually more of a multi-potentialite than you think.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I also I'm also a fan of getting really 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 good at some, like getting amazing at something, and I think sometimes we spread ourselves too thin. So yeah,
Yeah.
but to your point, I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, before you said the thing about me podcasting and training and coaching salespeople, I probably would have said like, no, you can't do that. But now you backed me in a corner here. So what, what am I going to say, right? Like, you're right. But even Joe Rogan, I think of Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan's also a commentator for the UFC, and he travels around with the UFC and he does that, and he's amazing at it. But he's
Right.
also a podcaster. But they kind of fit together, because what does
Right.
he do? He interviews people.
Right. And he did the fear factor thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, right. And exactly. So you may be within the same realm. Now, my realm is business. And it's just business because I love it. I mean, I was reading Entrepreneur Magazine. Do you know, David, I have it on my wall. I got my real estate license in 1986. I had just turned 20. I just turned 20, and I definitely, I think real estate is one of the best paths to wealth. I didn't stay with it because I was 20 and I was a young girl. And back in those days, nobody really wanted to work with females. And I didn't have the same self confidence that I have today. And this confidence only comes from going through it
Mm.
and doing it. And, I was lucky in that aspect. But, in hindsight, like, I think that's also why I help so many people today. It's because I needed help back then. I needed somebody to say, here, let me show you how that's done. And I learned by doing. And so I
Yeah.
think that my superpower is just general business, looking at it from like a high level and then seeing how we can do things within the business, and actually it all starts with the finances, right? So you have to see, are you making money in your business? And if so, are there other ways we can make money in your business, and how, and what are the different opportunities? And then from there, you know, just how do we talk about that and how do we get that message out there? So it's all, everything I do is business,
Yeah.
but it's just the little pieces of it.
Sure, fair enough. I mean, that makes sense. I have a friend too. She runs like an administrative assistant, like high end, like assistant executives for CEOs and stuff. And she considers herself a master, a jack of all trades, because she says she has to be because of the way she's managing all these people and delegating. And so she's actually spent a lot of time and energy on each specific role in each specific area, and so she says she has to do that. Otherwise, how would she be able to do what she does?
Right.
As somebody that manages all those executive assistants and assistant executives and all that other stuff she does. So it's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But exactly. And she does them all well, I'm sure, because otherwise she couldn't be what she does, right? Not to executives for sure, because they're demanding. They have certain schedules, certain things that need to be done. So if she
Yeah.
wasn't able to perform at a, impressive rate with everything that she's doing, she wouldn't be able to do what she does.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Well, let me ask you this. Let's go to unstuck, right? So there's people in here right now, and they're thinking maybe some people like, geez, I feel like I'm stuck right now. How does somebody get unstuck?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it depends on where you're stuck. So if you're stuck wanting to start a business, then you can first start thinking about what it is that you want to do, what it is you're good at, and that obviously depends on the person. But you can start by thinking to yourself, what is it that somebody always comes to ask me about, right? Does somebody always come to ask me about how to do their books? Does somebody always come to ask me about um, how to find the best florist in any state? I mean, you could do really crazy things. I have a friend
Mm.
who makes a living selling courses on how to do crochet.
On how to do what?
Crochet,
Oh, crochet. Yeah.
crocheting. Yep. So that's what she loved to do, and people were asking her. Her husband owns a karate studio, and people were asking her like how to crochet, and she eventually started teaching people, how to crochet. And then, so then I would come in as a consultant if she was looking to expand, and I would say, oh, okay, so now why don't you put together kits and sell the kits? So now they're getting the needles, they're getting the thread they need for this particular project, and start selling the kits as an add-on to teaching people, or paying for the course. So that's where, as a strategist, I may come in and see something that she didn't even think about and say, oh, wow, that's another whole revenue stream I never thought about. But so maybe she's stuck because she's doing it locally, and now that's it. She can't reach more people. Well, now how do you take that course and put it online? Now, I am not an expert on taking people's courses and putting them online. I know how to do funnels, I know how to advertise it, but that's not my strong suit. So I would probably try and match her up with the right person that
Yeah.
would do that.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And we built a course a few years ago. I built an online university. Speaking of, it's called Real Estate University, and our podcast is sponsored by Real Estate University. It's a membership for real estate agents, and actually we're doing a free right now. It's not free. I shouldn't say free. It's essentially free because it's the price of a Starbucks coffee. You can jump in and check us out for a week. Check out the community. Check out the daily calls, the huddles. So you just go to try.realestateu.club and you can sign up for the price of a Starbucks coffee and join us for a week in our community of top producing real estate agents. Okay, but back to you. The reason I started this community a year and a half ago is because I kept getting the same questions over and over again from real estate agents. I've been in real estate 20 years. I was a trainer for Keller Williams for a long time. I used to go around and teach the curriculum all over the country. So people would reach out to me with questions. And what I realized is that people were asking me the same questions over. And like I was known for like
Boom.
outbound lead generation. I was known for
Yeah.
like prospecting. So I started putting online videos. And like you said earlier, like know the next step. So what was the next step for me? It was, okay, start creating videos, right? Get a ClickFunnels account, build a membership, and do my first video. And here
Right.
I am now, 18 months later, with over 80 videos and 40 clients. And yeah, it's cool, right? But you got to take
Right.
that first step. So what would you say to people listening? Like, how does somebody figure out what it is they're really good at? Or
Well, well, I think it's like you just said. What do people ask you about? And if you're not really an expert in a field, what do you like doing? And then somewhere in it intersects with what you like doing and what people ask you about, right? It's like, I'm going to say you probably really like, well, I'm not going to say you probably. I know you did because I listened. You got involved in real estate because of your son. Was that it?
my daughter, my
Your
daughter.
daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
Your daughter.
I don't have any sons. I have 3
Oh,
daughters, though. But yeah,
sorry.
it's all good. That's all
I knew it
good.
was your child. I should have just said child. See,
No,
then
it's
you could
cool.
just.
Thank you. Thanks for knowing that, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, well, at
So
least it was my child. Yes.
your child, but you had to really enjoy it, or else you wouldn't have stayed with it, right? So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was cool. I learned a lot. I did well. I made a good amount of money. At least what I thought was a lot of money. In the past, and yeah, and it's been good. It's opened a lot of doors.
and so now that has enabled you to be able to teach people how to do what you did. So, you know, and listen, when it comes to real estate, there are all different parts of real estate. Maybe you would have found, some people like to do the real estate development, right? And so maybe that would have been your niche, but that's not what you liked. You liked the sales. You were really good at it. The lead, like you said, the lead generation. And by the way, that's what makes people money. Finding where to get leads and clients. That's, where most of the money is. And that's in any business, whether you're selling a product or service, that's part of the strategy too. Where do you find that? How do you build the community and culminate that and keep coming back? Now,
Mm.
you're building a community. Not only did you have clients that you sold real estate to, but now you have clients that you are teaching that very skill, and you're building a community of people who trust you because you are an authority. So you build your authority first, but you build your authority by doing. So what have you done in your life, and what do you like to do that you can make a living doing? And again, go back to whether maybe you like to knit on the side and you want to teach people how to knit. You'd be surprised. Maybe you like to train dogs, right? You can make a living being a dog trainer. You
Mm.
know, it does. And listen, it's funny because, I know you follow Grant Cardone, and obviously he's done amazing things, but for some people, leaving their job, even as an executive, if they're making, I don't know, $200,000, $300,000 a year, and they leave their job, work for themselves, and make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, they're going to be happy, right? Because they've, in the beginning, maybe they have to work a little bit more, but they're not looking to make the $1 billion, right? They're looking to have a comfortable life, to provide for their family, and to spend more time with their family. So not everybody in life is looking for the same payday or the same thing. So I think that's an important thing too. Understand what you really, really want when you start to launch a business. You know, do you want to
Mm.
make a gazillion dollars? Okay, well, you're probably not going to do that selling, I don't know, batteries, because there's too much competition. And unless you came up with the battery that, never runs out. But if you are going to be happy, making your $500,000 to $1 million, and listen, everything has its growing pains. So if you to go from 500,000 to 1 million, it may mean hiring, it may mean, staff. It's definitely going to mean putting things out there and hiring other people to do the things that you now do. And that's another whole skill set that you have to
Yeah.
learn, and listen, that's something that nobody could really do for you, because in the end, you're the person who has to work with the person you hire. So
Yeah.
it's a skill that you have to learn.
And,
So there's a lot,
and
right?
I mean, well, and you also have to get good at hiring. You have to get good at giving stuff away. Because I know for
Yes.
me, I struggled in the beginning because I started my real estate business and I was a perfectionist. I didn't think anybody could do things better than me, and it was my demise for a long time. Like I hit a ceiling and I couldn't get beyond that. And then I was a terrible leader. Like I didn't know how to manage people. I would go in a million miles an hour and never slowing down. So there's so many
And you know what?
nuances
But
and
here's the thing, David. Nobody has to do it as good as you.
no,
You,
I
you,
understand.
and that's the
Yeah.
hard part. Like they may not be
Well,
able to do it as good as you, but they don't really have to.
yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. Well, I want people to do it better than me, to be honest with
Of
you, because
course.
some of the stuff I was doing, I thought I was doing it the best, and then I bring someone in and knows what the hell they're doing. Like building a system or doing your administrative, a transaction
Yep.
process or whatever it is. And I'm doing it this way. And then you bring someone in that really knows how to do that at a high level. And they're like, God, dude, let me show you something. All of a sudden it works better. It's more efficient. So I think for me, that would be
Absolutely.
my opinion for people listening is, first, figure out like what you shouldn't be doing, what's not the best use of your time, highest and best use of your time, and hire that out right away.
Absolutely.
That's my biggest mistake, Wendy.
And you're right. You said something really important. Hire people who know what you don't know, right?
Yeah,
Because no matter how much you keep learning and wanting to learn and reading and doing, you're never going to know everything. And so if you hire people who are really good at what you don't know, then that's the best form of collaboration, and you grow together, so
absolutely.
yeah, I
So let me
like
ask
that.
you this: and I'm going to bring you back to where we started, and then I'm going to open it up. We've got some people in Clubhouse. I want to open it up for questions on Clubhouse for you. But I am curious, like, I mean, there's probably a lot of people that are really fearful right now. And I'll say something that's really interesting because I've experienced this over the last 3 weeks. I've never seen so many credit card decline, like, because I've never taken credit cards in my life, but now with my membership, I mean, we've lost clients because they say they can't afford to keep going forward. We're seeing credit card declines on a daily basis, which is super interesting. So, and what does
Yeah,
that tell me? It tells me that there's some real stuff going on.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when that's happening, should people be going out there and starting a business? Like, I know my answer, and people may not like my answer, but I'd love to hear what you think.
Well, I definitely think yes, but here's the thing. Starting a business doesn't necessarily mean leaving where you are right now.
Okay.
Um, you can start a business as a side hustle. You have to be willing to work.
Mm,
This is not for listen, if you want to work 9 to 5, then you need to stay in your job. And I know that sounds harsh, but if you want to work 9 to 5, then stay in a 9 to 5 job. Because when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting a business, you're working 7 in the morning till 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Now that's not forever, and nor should it be forever, because as you scale and grow, you can hire people, you can give up some of it, or things start to work on autopilot. The more restaurants I had, I still worked the same amount of hours because I liked what I was doing. I never once got up and said, "Oh, I don't want to go today." I loved what I was doing, but
mm.
I didn't have to be in any given four walls. When I had one restaurant, it was a lot. And when I had two restaurants, it was more than double. But by the time I had three, I had managers now in each restaurant, and I didn't have to show up every single day from this time to this time, you know? And then when I had five running, I went from restaurant to restaurant and I made sure things were going well, and part of that is, we were talking about teaching people how to do things. I had a training program for my wait staff. I had a training program for my cooks. I had a training program for my phone. We had to take out. So my phone girls, phone people. Um, and I will tell you that if somebody left my restaurant and went to work for your restaurant, my worst could still be your best because we really train people. They knew our menu, they knew what they had to do. And usually the people who didn't stay with me are the people who didn't really want to work. I had
Mm.
chefs that worked for me for over 20 years. I had wait staff that worked for me for 15, 16 years, and then there's always turnover. But the last restaurant that I had, so we'd have to have a whole nother podcast for another day. But at some point after the crash of 2008, I kind of lost almost everything. And then the one restaurant that I had that I was keeping that was going, I lost my lease. So I literally had to pick myself up by the bootstraps and start all over. And I
Mm.
opened up a restaurant with a group of partners. And that one, everybody came over with me. My entire kitchen, if you looked at my kitchen line, the least amount of person was 10 years up to 20 years was Eddie, my head chef. My pizza guys, 12 years and 15 years. My salad guys, 12 years, 15 years. Some of my wait staff had worked for me for 10 years. So why do people go with you? One, they're well trained, and because they're well trained, they're making good money. And the other thing
Yeah.
is, and this took me a while. I didn't start out this way, but as I grew and as I learned to give up the reins a little bit. I learned to let people do their thing, and you just watch. And if you see it, you put guardrails in, and if you see the car veering off the road, you say, "Wait a minute," and then you kind of bring it back onto the road. And that is what it takes to run $1 million business. You have to have systems in place. You have to have trainings. You have to have goals and numbers that you're meeting and looking at and doing. So once you set up all these systems and guardrails, then you coast a little bit, but you have to keep your eye on it at all times. You can't sleep at the wheel, right? If you're like, I'm using a car analogy, I know, but if
Yeah.
you fall asleep at the wheel, your car goes off the road. But if you're paying attention and you're treating people well and you're paying them well and you're taking care of your customers, you take care of your staff first and your customers second, believe it or not, because if your staff is happy, they're going to take care of your customers for you.
So true. So true. Yeah. And the reality is that when people are making money and they're happy, I don't know, you could say it's making money, happy making money. You could put them on to, which one
Mm-hmm.
comes first. I don't know. It depends on the person.
Yeah,
But somebody that's really good that can make money, even when they're not happy, they can go make money wherever they want then. But
true.
somebody that's happy and making money, you've got. So obviously you're a good leader because if you had somebody with you, 15 years, 12 years, 20 years, then that means your leadership is there because they're staying with you. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let me do this. We got some people in Clubhouse. See if we got any questions. Tootsie, did you want to ask a question? We got Tootsie up here and Jeff right now.
Hey, I don't really want to ask a question. I just had a couple of things that I would like to go on with what you guys were saying. I met you, David, actually in another room with Chris. I'm brand new to Clubhouse, so I'm learning what this is all about. So nice
Cool.
to listen to you, Wendy, and thank you for all of that amazing information. I am a sales rep director, but not with houses, but for health, for fitness. And I live in Indiana. So I think we kind of have the same perspective on looking out with, being stuck. I saw that and I was like, ooh, and I was in another room and somehow I ended up in this room. I don't know, God just puts me where I need to go. So I'm blessed to be here and to listen to y'all. And I've heard David speak before, so this is where I need to be. But I feel like the main thing, and I don't know if I'm here to give you my input or for us to work together, but I've learned since COVID, the last, almost 3 years, what isn't serving you, right? Look at your life and what you're doing, because sometimes we get stuck and we're like, oh my gosh, why are we stuck? Well, what is in your life that's not serving you, what's not helping you grow? So figure out what that is and put your pieces together is kind of how I look at life, right? What's your purpose? What do you want to do? Some people get so comfortable where they're at, right? They're safe. It's okay. But then they wonder, well, I've been here now, it's been 2 years, it's been 3 years, it's been 4 years, or whatever. And in sales, you got to be ahead of the game. I don't care what you're selling. You got to be up and above and ahead of the game at all times, because there's always a new month, right? And if you're in sales, there's always a new month. Great. Wow. December went great. Okay. Start over January 1st. So you're always looking to go ahead, to be caught up. And prospecting, right? Making those phone calls is the hardest part of sales. Closing somebody's easy. That's the easy cake, right? But people who aren't in it don't understand it. And so I feel like kind of what I've learned with you in this very, very short time, David, is your relationships, how you brand, how you build yourself. Are you wanting that transaction, or are you wanting that relationship? I feel like that's what really helps me with describing of, are you a sales rep and you just want that money and you want that transaction? Or do you really care from your heart and soul if that person's going to get that amazing house that they want? Not what you want, what they want. We're here to serve them.
Yeah, that's a good
Same
point.
with the gym membership, right?
Yeah.
Like,
really good points. So I'm going to toss it back to Wendy, if that's all right, Tootsie. I appreciate you popping in.
Yeah.
We're on a live podcast. So Wendy, I would love to hear your thoughts. And we got about 10 minutes before we're going to wrap. So I want to hear your thoughts, Wendy, on what Tootsie said about, she said a couple of things. One was comfortability that I wrote down. Like, I think that is definitely something that we see people stay in places like, well, you tell me, what's your perspective on what she shared?
Recently I was at an event and I heard something that I thought was so profound. I actually shared it on my LinkedIn. But the gentleman was talking about carrying baggage, and he said like this, like, we travel for business, right? Are you going to be in Las Vegas, by the way?
For GrowthCon?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But speaking of, if anybody needs a diamond ticket, I have a diamond ticket sitting around.
Oh, no.
To sell. Yeah. Well,
if anybody needs a diamond ticket, get in touch with David.
Yeah. Listen, that's the ticket. What, do you have a diamond ticket?
I don't. And I probably am not, I'm supposed to come in on the 15th. I wasn't coming in for GrowthCon. I was coming in because my business partner lives in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get in on the 14th. So I'm going to, I have other things going on. I'm going to try.
Well, I'll message you whatever ticket you need. I can get you. But if you want a diamond, then I can help you. They're all sold out, by the way. They're all sold out.
Are they? That does not surprise me. Yeah. But so we travel for business, right? And we travel and we do things. So right now I live in Florida. And if I was going to go to Chicago, I would pack boots and a winter coat and heavy sweaters and maybe thicker pants. And when I came back to Florida, and if I was going to go to Las Vegas from there, it's warmer there, right? So I'm not going to take my boots and my coats and I'm going to unpack that. I'm going to leave the things that suit me. I need my toiletries, and maybe I need my book, I need my phone chargers, and then I'm going to throw in the clothing that's appropriate for me to go on my next trip.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm looking for the future and what I'm going to need for my trip. But as people, we don't really do that. We take our baggage and we continue to carry it with us. And it was what she just said. We are carrying those things that are no longer serving us, right? And we don't need them. And so we need to stop carrying all of it and figure out, what do we need to go forward? What skill set, what important things are we looking at? How can we, coach ourselves to get rid of things that aren't serving us anymore, the negative thoughts, the self-doubt, all those things that are not good, and maybe celebrate the small wins and set your goals. And as you're hitting little milestones, celebrate it. But we need to leave the old baggage behind. The things that earlier, David, I talked to you about when I was 20, I went and I got my real estate license, right? And, I think a lot of that self-doubt that I had as a young 20-year-old, that doesn't serve me now. How can I run a business? Now, sometimes that little imposter syndrome, self-doubt, it tries to creep back. Doesn't matter what I've accomplished. It wants to come back in my life. And I'm like, no, go away. I need to unpack you. I need to put you on the side because you don't serve me. Right. But at the same time, I think the lessons I've learned when I did lose everything, that the lessons learned from investing $1 million when the economy was in a downspin, would I do that again? I might, but I definitely would negotiate my lease better. I actually negotiated before everything crashed, but there are things that I took away from that that I won't do again. And so that baggage I'm going to take with me. Am I afraid to invest in my life and my future and another business? No. Will I do things differently? Yes, because I've learned from that. So I'm going to leave behind the fear. It's not serving me. And I'm going to take with me the lessons learned, because that will serve me, and make sure I get things in writing, and a whole bunch of other things that, like I said, we go on for days if we want to talk about, losing things during a recession. But I also made great relationships during that recession. That was another thing she was talking about, is the relationships. And you talk about that all the time. Don't worry about the sale. I have customers. Let's forget the employees that stayed with me. I had customers that were with me for 20 years. I built a community, and to me, it was always about giving value. And I will tell you, when I left the restaurant business, I told you I had partners in what was my final restaurant, and we were doing well. And my main partner had passed away, and his grandson inherited his portion of there. He was in real estate. He wasn't a restaurant person. But the other group of investors, they said to me, I don't understand why you're buying this quality. We're not a white tablecloth restaurant. I don't understand why you're paying your people what you're paying your people. That is way above the going rate. And so what they wanted me to do was take them from salary, put them on hourly. They didn't want me buying the quality that I was buying. And I could not put my face to that. I couldn't subscribe to that, because I had built a reputation on really good food, high quality at a reasonable price. I wasn't the cheapest in town. I wasn't the most expensive in town, but you were going to get from me as much, if not more, than what you got from the most expensive restaurant. So when they wanted to change that formula, I couldn't subscribe to that. I built a community. And so in the end, when I was a small voice and I didn't win the battle, it was affecting my health. And I had to step away from the situation. So that's why I wound up leaving the restaurant business. And of course, all the years of being in the restaurant, CPA business, I said, oh, let me pivot, right? And that's when I started working as a consultant, as an advisor. And so there's a lot of lessons there. One is build your community and stick by it. Don't give up your morals or values, not for $1. Because in the end, it's your reputation, and you cannot buy your reputation. Your reputation is earned. And everything that you do in this life, from taking care of your community to being a person of your word, where your yeses mean yes, that's going to follow you forever.
Yeah.
And so build your community, always stand by your word, and start a business in this economy. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody earlier today. By the way, Tootsie, thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Appreciate that. And I was talking to somebody earlier today, and he was telling me on how he feels awkward or doesn't feel comfortable when he's meeting with somebody, when they give him objections. And right away I said, the problem is because that's about you. If what you were doing was really about serving the other person, you would have no problem with that, because you just be there with them, listening to them. So, and I feel like he got it. Like, but that's what I took from what Tootsie said, because when it is about helping the other person and solving problems, and just like, I can talk to anyone, because it doesn't matter what they say to me. They tell me to go pound sand, I'll be like, are you sure is that you find, the best answer? Then most people don't tell me that, but I'm okay with it, because I know I'm just trying to help. And I think that's one of the things with salespeople. They get so in their own head, and they're so concerned about, oh my God, if I don't get to sale, or if they say no, or if they say this, instead of just knowing what you're talking about and just being there with people. And if you can help them solve the problem, great. If you can't, then that is what it is too, right?
You know, I wish I remember which movie this was, but there is a scene I'm thinking about where somebody's selling stereos, right? And this guy comes in, this young kid comes in, and the stereo salesperson is like blaring everything up, putting the amp at 11. I know they only goes to 10, and just like, playing, and this is what you need in your life. And the man is going, yeah, 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 this is what I need, this is what I need, and he literally probably sold him a $50,000 stereo system. And then the wife walks over with all the kids, and the wife is pregnant. And the salesperson realizes, you know what? This man has a family to support. He can't really afford this. And he told them, no, dude, we're out of stock. Like, we don't have this. Like, you don't need this. Let me show you this stereo that's better for you. Right. But he had the guy all amped up and ready to sell. So it's like that. You have to listen to what your customer, not just what they want, but what they need. Are you going to sell them the $50,000 stereo because you're going to make more money from it? Or are you going to sell them what's good for them right now? And guess what? When they're ready, they'll come back and they'll buy the $50,000 stereo from you. Then they'll buy the $100,000 stereo from you because you did the right thing.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you for your time today. Just again, we have a community. It's Real Estate University for real estate agents. I don't know of a better place to invest time, energy. We've got top real estate agents from all over the country to get together daily, give each other accountability, support, networking, referrals. There's over 75 lessons. Actually, it's over 80 lessons now. Just awesome. Try it out for a week. You can go to try.realestateclub or try.realestateu.club and check out our community. And if you don't like it, listen, try it for 7 days. If you don't like it, then we'll give you $7 back too. You don't have to do anything else.
And that's not you for university. That's you, because everything we do is for you.
That's a good point. Yeah, I love that. So thanks for saying that. But yeah, so that's what we have going on. I just want to make sure we let people know about that because it's a great opportunity. Also, it's January, so if you do need tickets to GrowthCon, let me know. I am a licensee for Grant Cardone, or it doesn't matter anytime, at any point. If you want tickets to any of Grant's events, let me know because that's what I do. And I can help you out with tickets to that. And when you buy tickets for me, I will be your concierge through the whole event. So you have me. That's what you get. That's why you want to buy tickets for me, because you get me, my cell phone number, as well as me answering questions and guiding you through the whole process. So anyway, enough about me. I want to toss it back to Wendy to kind of wrap things up today. And so Wendy, first off, how do people get in touch with you if they're interested more about, learning what you do, working with you, hiring you, whatever? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can go to wendyshore.co. That's WENDYSHORE, like the seashore.co. Wendy at Shore Advice will be live soon. And here's what's really funny, David. When I first started my consulting business and I help people get online and bring their businesses online, I didn't need to be online. I got recommendations from other clients, from attorneys, from accountants. And now the pandemic hit and I was not online, right? Isn't that funny? So everybody get online. So Wendy at Shore Advice, and it's Shore, like my last name, SHORE, Advice. And Shore Advice means sure success.
I love it. So what's the one thing, Wendy, if people listening to this, I know we pivoted in a few different directions, but ultimately I think there's a lot here on getting unstuck, right? On making it about your clients, figuring out what you're really, really good at, figuring out what questions you get asked, some of the things we talked about today, getting beyond that uncomfortability or that comfort zone. What's the one thing you want people to build community, as you talked about? What is the one thing though you really would say if somebody needs to, like, let's say they said, give me the one thing you want people to walk away with from this interview today? What would you want that to be?
That's a really good question. I would say that you can do it if you put your mind to it. I say get going, and then you'll worry about getting perfect. If you take one step towards perfection, You'll just get excellent, but you have to take the first step. So get going, then get perfect.
Get going and then get perfect. And why do you, what causes that to be your, I'm asking you another question. I know that said it was the last one. What causes you to be the one that to be the one thing you want everybody to take? Like, why do you say that?
Well, because everything we spoke about today, building community, networking, doing the right thing, all of that starts with starting, right? And I know so many people who sit there and they go, okay, well, first I have to get my funnel or my website. Like I told you, I don't have a website. I know it's really bad because I tell people, but I'm the shoemaker's children without the shoes, right? They want to get their website perfect, and they want to get this perfect, and they want to get this perfect, and they have all the pieces, and then they never get going because they're waiting for perfection, right? They're waiting till it's just right. I have my website needs to be right. My packaging needs to be right. This needs to be right. No, start. How many? Listen, you use ClickFunnels, right? I use ClickFunnels, so we've been following Russell Brunson for a while, right? You start. If you're going to launch a course, did you start with 80 videos? No, you started with one. So you have to start somewhere. And then I'll bet you if I watch video 1 and video 80, you're probably doing it a little bit different. So if you're going to wait until your format is just right, you'll never launch the videos, right? So everything that you're going to do in starting a business, you just have to start.
Yeah. Yeah. We could have another whole podcast on, we had to switch platforms, by the way. And now I think we got to do it again, which is going to be, I think last time we switched, we had like 40 videos. Now we got to do it with over 80 plus videos, to be honest with you. Anyway, it is what it is. So I appreciate you. And you're right. It's just, and that's why I asked you that other question, because people have to get started, right? That's ultimately what it is. They have to get started. So
have to get started.
Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you. I'm glad we were able to make this happen. I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend.
Yes, it was really great to look at you as I spoke to you instead of your little picture on a stage. So
Amen. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, David.